What's up guys, it's your boy FlamingVictini here, and today I'm going to be looking at another SPL match analysis. This is going to be my week 4 game against psychicmewtwo. Now, jumping straight into the team matchup, I think I have a pretty good team matchup because of my Zard X. Now, when I've analyzed psychicmewtwo's previous games, he used a lot of slow Scarfers like Scarflando, and Scarflando teams tend to be very weak to Zard. And as you can see on his team, it looks like he's got Rockstrand and Scarflando. Magnezone, Pinsir, and Tang are all gonna fall prey to a boosted Zard. Greninja, just a little bit of chip, it's gonna fall to that Zard. I am running EQ Zard, and actually my team is verbatim the exact same team I used versus Ojama and Snake Tour, the Snake Tour draft tournament, which I won with. So it's gonna be DD Zard X on my side, DD EQ Zard X, Flare Blitz, DD EQ Roost. And I think that has a really good matchup versus psychicmewtwo. Another thing you notice with a lot of Landos in SM is that a lot of them drop Stone Edge. For example, you'll see EQ, HP Ice, U-Turn knockoff. Defensive Lando frequently runs EQ, HP Ice, Rocks, U-Turn. So many of them can't hit a regular form Zard and actually become setup fodder, which is really interesting. And I'm going to try to take advantage of that in this game. Now, looking at my game plan, he really has only one major threat, and that is Pinsir. And his his Greninja is a bit annoying because it sort of stops on Mew. Same thing with the Tran. But if I can get rid of those three Mons, I think Mew can straight up solo psychicmewtwo's team. It looks to me like his zone could be Scarf because he appreciates the speed on his sort of bulky offensive team. And looking at my matchup, I'm just really looking to capitalize with my Zard X, use my T-Tar to sort of get rid of Greninja locked into a Dark move or Spikes, Magnezone perhaps being forced to switch out, something along those sorts. Can pressure the Heatran too, which also helps out my Mew. I'm obviously going to use my Gastrodon to stop that Gren, use my Lando and Cart to like break, check, defog, etc. So yeah, so I'm just going to start off with this. So I'm going to lead off with my Gastro because versus Lando Gren teams, it's very frequent for one of those to lead off, and I thought he would do that. He leads with Lando and goes for a U-turn. Now I actually want to look at this U-turn damage really quickly. I thought that this Lando was going to be a Choice Scarf Lando from Team Preview. It seems very obvious because without Choice Scarf Lando, nothing really else is a fast candidate unless you're running Choice Scarf Greninja, which would be really weird. But actually, the U-turn damage, 24%, actually indicates to me that it's not a Scarf Lando, because if it had attack investment, that's slightly less than a min-roll U-turn. So that should have tipped me off that it wasn't a Scarf Lando, but I actually didn't notice that at all, because it was sort of near min U-turn damage. I sort of expected that much. I go for a Toxic and I miss the Tangrowth. No worries, I'm just going to go to my Mew. It's a bit safer than Zard in case he has a Rock Slide, because he is a bit Zard weak. And I'm just going to set up my Rocks. As he tries to go Pinsir, I guess the Pinsir was trying to predict my Zard, I guess, and he wanted to trade. But anyway, he's going to go to Tran. I'm just going to go to my Zard before the Rocks go up. Now here is a very crucial junction. So I could just go straight for a Mega EQ and KO the Heatran, and that would be really good for me, keeping my Zard healthy and ready to do work later on the game, set up on Tang, Magnezone, whatever. The downside is that his Lando would be able to come in, force me out, check me, etc. I could also DD, but if he goes for Toxic, it's going to put me on a timer, and I'm going to have to play really carefully and really well around this Mewtwo. Now, if he is Scarf Lando, which I still thought he was at this point, I'd be able to OHKO him with Flare Blitz. The thing is, after Toxic, 2 turns of Toxic Flare Blitz recoil, I'm probably going to be in range of Quick Attack or Water Shuriken, and if I EQ on a Lando switch, then Flare Blitz back to a Tran or something like that, it's going to get really nasty. Now, I felt like his Tran was really important and he didn't want to give it up. But I also felt like, I decided I'd go for DD, and I decided there's no reason to Mega Evolve, because if he does go to his Lando on the DD, then I have the option to consider DDing again, or at least I can pressure him to stay in and go for a Stone Edge if he has it, because it's going to be a really tough situation for him, and I maintain some flexibility, because I know if I DD, I'm going to be staying in the next turn anyway. And the other thing is that if he tries to be cheeky and go for an Earth Power, maybe in a Tectonic Rage if this is a Z move, that would be really nice. Yeah, so I go for the regular DD, and it actually turns out he's Inferno Overdrive, and this is a solid 60-ish%, exactly 60%. So if I had gone for the Mega Evolution, I think I gain a little Spadef, and of course I gain a Resist, so that would have done less than 30, which would have been really, really amazing for me. The good thing about this is it eases this next turn a lot, because the +1 regular form EQ does KO Heatran. I do need Mega or +1 to KO the Heatran with EQ, assuming it has some bulk. And his Lando's going to come in. Now, of course, again, I still thought this was a Scarf Lando. I didn't see a reason to go for Roost if he just wanted to EQ, so I just go for a Flare Blitz, and actually does 54%. Doesn't take him out, and he's going to U-turn out to my Zard. I feel like U-turn was a weird play. I felt like he should EQ to prevent Roost, because if I had Roosted, I think he would have lost. But I can also understand if it's a risk worth taking, because he doesn't want me to DD again on the EQ. He wants to put me in Water Shuriken range, and I was outside of Water Shuriken and Quick Attack range at that point. So he's going to go to his Gren. I don't know why he chose to go to Gren instead of Pinsir, but I'm just going to go to my Gastrodon. I might as well save the sack, which is going to come in useful later. And nothing can really come in on this Tox now, because the only thing that can come in is Zone, and Gastrodon beats Zone pretty hard. So I'm just going to go for the Tox, catch the Tang. Tang's going to go for the knockoff on my Mew, and I'm just going to soft back up. I'd like this Mew to be healthy so I can check Pinsir a little bit. And it's sort of a forcing move. He sort of has to go to Gren. And this is where I'm going to start putting the pressure on him. I'm going to go hard into my T-Tar. Now, this is really, really nice play, because if I play really passively against the Greninja, just going to Gastrodon, he's going to use it as an opportunity to set up spikes, try to fish for Dark Pulse flinches, and just keep on going back to Tang growth on my Gastrodon. And because of Regenerator, even with Rocks and Toxic, I'm not going to be gaining any progress. So at that point, the best progress I would be able to make is by wisping the Gren and trying to slowly chip it down. But I'd be increasingly pressured to defog on my own, and I don't really feel a strong need to defog. I'd rather keep that Rocks pressure on his Pinsir and his Lando. So I'm going to go hard into my T-Tar, because I don't expect him to go for a water move at all. It'd be very unexpected, and he'd basically have to be predicting my very aggressive T-Tar switch. And I'm just going to Pursuit. He's locked into Spike, so if he stays in, his Gran is going to die anyway. So he chooses to switch out, not to get up the 3 spikes. That way he can at least bring in his Gran one more time in. But it's basically dead now, which is very good, because I'm very close to winning with just Mew. He goes to his Lando, shows the lefties. I definitely don't want to stand, because I want to keep my Tar around. The stand is very helpful, and the bulk is going to be nice, potentially for a Tang late game. So I had some options. He could have U-turned, but I felt like U-turn, I felt like he was unlikely to U-turn, because he wouldn't want to get pursued if I chose to stay in, and that made me consider going to Kartana, because Kartana coming in on EQ, I don't really need my card's health for anything. The problem here is I expect his Zone to be Scarf, and I do want my Kartana to at least get something more useful done than Leaf Blading a Magnezone, getting killed by Scarf HP Fire, and then just pursuing it out on the switch. So I actually decide here, but I decided before I sacked my Zard that I'm going to sack my Zard, stop any switch, go to Kartana. I'm just going to go for an all-out pummeling. My reasoning being that if his Lando goes for a U-turn, his Lando's dead. And if he switches hard to Zone, the Zone's dead, and I'm in a really great spot. And he does indeed go hard to Zone, trying to catch the Leaf Blade. His Lando's probably defog, so he probably also wanted to try to try to defog his Pinsir if he felt he needed it. It could have been useful. So I'm just going to catch the Zone with the all-out pummeling, and this is really, really great for me. His only threat left is Pinsir. That's the only threat. So he goes to Gren. I want to go to Gastrodon, because I can take 2 Dark Pulses. Worst case scenario is he flinches me. If he does, I just go to Tar and kill it with Sand, and then I can save. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to save my Tar to set up Sand for the Pinsir again if I need a little chip. So he just goes for Dark Pulses. I'm just going to be recovering up. He thankfully doesn't flinch me, so I don't even have to worry about that. And I don't know if I recover here. I recover here again, so I'm back to full. And I think I just go for a Scald, as he just goes to his Tang growth. I don't really care. If he can save his Grand Sack, it doesn't really matter. At this point, it's looking like Mew can just win the game straight. So I'm just going to go to my Mew on the Tang. If you wanted to predict that, his only play was to really go Pinsir. But, yeah, because by going Mew, I also ensure that he can't get a defog off of his Lando, because my Mew is pretty fast, and I'll be able to Ice Beam it. So I'm just going to spam Soft Boil. Toxic is going to be ticking down on this Tang. He has to switch, and I want to stay at full health, because it really helps me with the Pinsir. And he just goes hard to Lando. Not really sure why Lando over Gren, but he chooses to sack Gren there. Just a little extra chip on Lando. Doesn't matter. And now he goes to Pinsir. Now, of course, I could go for the Will-O-Wisp, and if it hits, I just straight up win the game. But there are a few risks. One, he could be a random substitute Pinsir. That's one. Second, I could miss. And that's the more likely option, or the more probable scenario which I want to avoid, because if I miss, I can be put in a really bad situation. My goal is to be able to beat this Pinsir without having to click Stone Edge on my Lando. If I can win against this Pinsir 100%, I'm going to take it. A guaranteed win is always better than an 80% chance to win, an 85% chance to win, a 90% chance to win whatsoever. So I'm just going to go for a straight Ice Beam. He's going to go for the non-Mega SD play. This way, by not Megaing, he takes less from Ice Beam. But this damage I got with the Ice Beam is enough. So if he Mega Evolves, and doesn't like SD again, my Lando is very easily, well, he should Mega Evolve and return, and it's a roll to knock out my Mew, but if he gets it, he can knock me out. And then his Pinsir should live in HP Ice from my Lando, but Sand will take it out. He actually chooses to SD again. I'm not exactly sure why, because I'm just going to go to my T-Tar. He can't recover. The worst thing that could happen is he has a Rest Sleep Talk, and in that case, I'm just going to try to go for the Stone Edge kill. But, yeah, he just goes for the Frustration, takes out my Tar. I'm just going to sack my Kartana, and the Sand is going to take out this Pinsir, and Mew's just going to finish off the game. So, yeah, this was a very straightforward, I'd say mostly straightforward game. I think the only real prediction I made was a little bit of the Zard versus the Tran Lando, and then the Kartana versus the Lando Zone, and then after that, and the T-Tar trapping the Gren. That definitely sped up the game a lot, because if I played passively, he could have mounted a lot of spikes pressure, tried to pull doubles like Pinsir onto Gastrodon, things like that. That could have gotten really annoying. So yeah, he's just gonna play a few moves and then forfeit. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be uploading my SPL Week 2 game against ABR soon, and I'm actually working on a project video on how to learn to play VGC. I actually got, if you didn't know, I won top 4 in the Smogon VGC tournament last year with no prior VGC experience. So an article was published on my experience and my thoughts. So I'm actually going to make a video, if I get around to it. I'm going to make a video to kind of explain how to learn VGC from a singles background, but also just in general how to get better at Pokemon. So yeah, I hope you guys stay tuned and look forward to that video. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.